I have read over 1,000 books in my lifetime, and in this video, I am excited to share with you the most important books that have had the biggest life-changing impact in my life, along with actionable takeaways for you in your life and in your business today. Books are literally the most affordable investment you can make in yourself. And for this video, we're gonna be trying something brand new. We had the pleasure of partnering with the guys over at 1% Better to bring you an animation style video. So make sure to check out their awesome channel after you watch this video. They do a lot of amazing animated summaries of life-changing books.
A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. This book is my inspiration on how to live an interesting life. So for me personally, I read this book and decided that I am gonna go bike across America. Donald did it in his book, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta do that too. So what makes this book so powerful and so interesting is that a lot of us, I'd say every single one of us, wanna live a meaningful, purposeful, interesting life, and this book gives you examples and ways on how to do it. So a few things that he says that I really resonate with and think about often is, if you wanna live an interesting life, you just be around interesting people. I'm like, that's it? Yeah, and so I think about one of my good friends, Neville from copywritingcourse.com, and how he's such an interesting person. He's playing piano, he's studying Joe Rogan, he listens to Howard Stern, he goes and does all these adventures. And so I think for you as well, who are the people that are in your life that are interesting? And if you don't have anyone, go find them, or you can join us in our group, okdork.com/group, and find interesting people. The second thing that Donald talks about in his book, which I thought was great, is how to live a life full of Hail Marys. And no, it's not the prayer thing. This is actually, in football, you throw the football to the end zone and hopefully they catch it. And I got to talk with Donald Miller, and what he said about that is that 1 out of 10 times when you do something crazy, you throw the Hail Mary, which is the long, maybe not work out plan, 1 out of 10 times it works. And so what? 9 out of 10 it doesn't, but that 1 out of 10, maybe you get the relationship, maybe you get that job, maybe you go on an adventure, and that is how you live an interesting life. Maverick by Ricardo Semler. This is a book about how you do the opposite of every other business book and significantly grow your business. And it is the basis of how we've grown AppSumo.com. So after reading this book many, many times at AppSumo, I basically gave up complete control and let the team run all the business. And in the past 8 years, they've taken the company from a $4 million business to over a $30 million company. And a lot of that is from this book. So a few highlights from the book that I'd recommend for you to think about today is number one, how do you hire adults and let them be adults? And what I mean by that is that if you are in a business, if you're starting it or if you're growing your business, if you tell your people what to do and you stop them from being an adult, you lost. And so what I mean by that is if they're coming to you and saying, hey, what should I do? And you tell them, you haven't hired an adult. You need to let them make their own decisions and give them the goals of where you want them to be going. And even better than that, let them choose their own goals. Ricardo has taken it to another level where they choose their own goals, they choose their own rules, they choose their own offices, they choose their own salaries. I don't know if you have to go to that extreme, but I love the beauty of hiring adults, let them choose their own goals and destinations, and let them really run for it. Another thing that he really did that I like is that how do you step out of your own company? So he intentionally leaves the company for months at a time. And I'm not telling you to leave your company and just hope it does well, but I think the beauty of what he encourages about stepping out of your company to scale it is, have you hired the right people and what cracks are in your system so the business isn't growing? And it's an amazing story where he's taken his dad's centrifuge business. I don't even know really what that is, but he took it from a nothing business to over $100 million in revenue. And lastly, I think what Ricardo is really talking about is, think about how do you remove rules and just question all the things you're doing in your business for really what's best in the business. Everyone that you hire, I know that we've done our best at our company, is smart and capable. So really remove all the processes and rules and let them have the creativity and the innovation to go do those amazing things. So that is why I've loved this book by Ricardo Semler. If you're liking this video so far, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I put out juicy videos every single week to help aspiring entrepreneurs start and grow their business. I also do subscriber-only office hours every single week and give out exclusive bonuses for free to subscribers. Hit that button. The Power of Full Engagement by Jim Lower and Tony Schwartz. This book is not about how much time you and me have in our day. It is about how we leverage our energy. One of the main things that I've taken away from this book is that you have to add recharge and recovery time into your work week. So every Wednesday and Friday morning, I have recovery time. I go to the sauna and I get a massage. And so I felt really guilty about doing this. I don't know about you, but maybe if you walk away from your computer, if you're not online so people can message you, you're like, oh, I feel like I'm not really working. But think about this. When's the last time you've had some of your best ideas for your life and for your work? Probably not while you're sitting on a computer. Sometimes I think when the computer opens up, the mind goes shut. And for me, It was thinking like, oh wow, when I go and do these things, I feel relaxed, I get recharged, I plug in, and all these ideas start coming to me. So for yourself, start thinking about how you can add that in your own life. A few other highlights from the book that are really interesting to think about is notice when your energy levels are at their peak and work your day around that. If they're really great at midnight and beyond, stay up all night. Or if it's in the morning after you have coffee, get wild and allocate time around that. So be less concerned about your time, like, oh, I'm working 8 hours, because you're probably not working 8 hours. You know, we're on Reddit. Secondly, allocate time to recharge. I talked about a little how big that's been for me. Try doing it a little bit this week or in the upcoming week and see how much of a difference it makes for you. And lastly, put yourself in places and people that give you more energy. The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. So this is a book that I wasn't really expecting to like so much, but it's a story of a guy who says yes to everything, and he ends up building a 9-figure tech company that revolutionizes the medical industry, which is a little bit bonkers. So this book specifically made me reflect on all the things I say no to in life and just be more open-minded that it all will work out. I've had a lot of anxiety this year about where am I going to live next? So I was in San Diego stressing out for weeks. I went to therapy to say, like, where should I go next? And then I finally just surrendered and said, hey, it's going to all work out. And then I was like, oh, well, I should go to Utah and Colorado and explore there. And now I'm even recording this from my mom's house in Albuquerque. I came to visit her. And so it's not being open-minded and saying yes to every single thing. I guess you could try that. But it's just being a little bit more open-minded to what life is bringing you and not being so forced or stressing out about it. A few key things from this book that I think will really help you in your own life is, number one, being willing to face loneliness. Oh man, this guy has noises in his head, so he says he's going to go live out in the woods to try to quiet the noises and meditate all day long. And I know loneliness for me has been literally one of the things I'm most scared of. I've been scared of the dark, I'm scared of alone, and it's something that going into and facing and actually just experiencing it and putting on eye masks and being like, hey, it's not so bad just hanging out with Noah. Secondly is not being so restricted and being more open-minded to the world. He was living out in the middle of like nowhere, and someone just wanted to come live on his farm or whatever he called it. And he's like, sure. And then they wanted to build like a house, and he's like, okay. And he set up a thing in the book which was, say yes to some of the things you normally say no to, and that's how you're going to experience new things in life. By the way, let me know in the comments what books have impacted your life the most. I love reading books, so leave a comment below what book has impacted your life the most. All right, $1 Million Consulting by Alan Weiss. So the way that this has impacted my life is that when I was dating a girl in college, I got invited to her house. And I went to their house, and it was a mansion. I was like, Nicole, you didn't tell me you were this rich. And I asked her father, I was like, all right, man, you guys are pretty well off. And you know, I'm in college. I want to get rich too. And so how'd you get this rich? And his response was literally, he gave me Alan Weiss's book, $1 Million Consulting. He said, read it, and I could have a mansion too. Two things that you can also take away from this book that I really, really like that you can do today is, number one, a lot of times when we go and we're doing consulting with the client's like, I want this, here's what I want. But I think what Alan actually pitches is, what does the client actually need? And so improving and focusing on that will actually elevate you from competing in the Fivers and Upwork and freelances of the world. Secondly, one of the things that Alan talks about that I really resonate with is improving your writing. Whether you are being a consultant or if you're in a relationship, you're starting a business or you're an employee, improving your communication skill is one of the most valuable things you can do. So Alan talks a lot about reading good books and practicing just effective communication on the phone as well as in writing so that you can be more effective as a consultant. The Score Will Take Care of Itself by Bill Walsh. I love the books that most people have not heard of because that's how you're going to get an advantage. If you're reading the same books that everyone else has heard of, you have no chance of winning. So this book is a memoir on leadership and success from San Francisco 49ers football team coach who transformed them from one of the worst performing teams to one of the best. And when I believe 4 Super Bowls, not bad. So one thing that this book has changed for me is that we can't control the outputs of the game, but we can control our locker rooms, our practice, and all of the inputs. So a small thing that I've done for myself is I can control my desk. I can't control necessarily how the weather's going to be, but I can make my desk neat every single day. And what he talks about in this book is all these small things that you can control, whether running your ads, learning how to write better, cleaning up your desk. That is the score, and it will take care of itself. So a few things that you can do for yourself today that I really liked from this book is, number one, what are some of the small details that people will pay attention to? So that will help represent some of the larger things. A lot of times when I worked at Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg would say, hey, why is there a comma missing? Why is there a period? Why is there not a capitalization on the help pages? And I always remember being so surprised that he was doing that. But what it did do is it said, hey, the small things matter, and so the big things are going to matter too. And the second thing I think from this book that's really interesting is that how do you actually build a professional team? If people want to have a band and have a rock star, maybe that's not the best way to build a business. So that's something to think about for yourself. The Paradox of Choice. Why More is Less with Barry Schwartz. This book specifically has been so much of a game changer for me that I decided to make a full book summary of it and put it on the 1% Better channel. Click here to watch it. I'll see you out there, and I love you. Pew pew!